Gotta Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Okay, so let's pretend for just a second that you're a general manager.
Yes.
And your job is to make a Stanley Cup winning team.
I can do it.
And you are in a market. You got 31 NHL teams, but your city matters. You are
Hamilton.
You are one of the pillars of the NHL.
Yeah.
But you make a bad trade.
No.
Yeah.
Not me.
You make a bad trade.
No.
You feel bad about it, right?
A little bit. I feel shame.
But do you admit it publicly?
No.
No.
Maybe.
Maybe
when I retire.
Even if that bad trade's for a good player, sometimes a bad trade doesn't mean that what you got wasn't great. It just means that it didn't solve your problem.
Is this player still on my team?
Player's still on your team right now.
Well, heavens, I don't say it's a bad trade.
No, absolutely not. Now, let's say you make a bad trade, and again, the player's really great, but he doesn't fill the need that you needed him to fill. And then your team starts the season, and they're tanking. And the player that you traded performs extremely well, to the point where he has more points than most of the players on your team combined.
Oh, well, that sounds like a problem.
You feel bad about that, right?
Yes.
That's not going to go well.
No.
Now, let's say you make a bad trade. Your team tanks. The player you traded performs extremely well. Your fans are pissed. And on top of all of that, you might lose a second-round pick.
Oh, heavens.
I give you the Montreal Canadiens and Mikhail Sergachev. Did you know that there is a second-round pick to be exchanged in this?
Now, what I think that pick is for is if Tampa chooses to send Sergachev back.
Here's what it is.
Okay.
If Sergachev does not play 40 NHL games, Montreal must send the Lightning a second-round draft pick. John Cooper confirmed he's staying right now, and it's 100% deserved. Of course, he's been playing great. It will be interesting for a team that is a legit Stanley Cup contender. What will be more valuable for 2017-2018? Sergachev or that draft pick, which can be used to add something. So you could take that draft pick and you can add something with it.
A defenseman, the quality of Sergachev.
As it's going right now, you'd have to say Sergachev is the answer. And I would agree with that.
Is that from Elliot Friedman?
That's from Elliot Friedman.
I saw him talk about that with Dave Amber on some kind of show recently.
I forgot that trade wasn't just a straight up a Drouin for Sergachev.
Me too. It's great. Tampa holds the cards. They hold
they often end up holding the cards. How do they always end up holding the cards?
Because Steve Yzerman is a wizard robot person, and it doesn't make any sense. Now, this is the interesting thing. If the Habs look like they're going to be in last place, which, boy, are the Coyotes making that difficult.
Yeah, I don't think they can. You can't. I don't think you can compete with the Coyotes for last place.
No, but that could potentially be a pick between 30 and 35. So you're almost acquiring another first, and it's really your choice. Right. It's your choice. Yeah, it's pretty scary, man.
Now, let's have a look at the Lightning defense here for just a second. And then we're going to talk about Montreal because there's so much Montreal to talk about.
It'd be great if there was a way to scam the system. You know, you send Sergachev down, he doesn't play 40 games, you call him up for the playoffs.
Can you do that?
No, I don't think so.
You should be able to call him up for the playoffs.
I don't know. Anyway.
What's the playoff eligibility?
I wouldn't imagine, because if he goes back down, is it the AHL or the CHL?
I think once you send a player down to once you send a player to junior, that's it.
Yeah, if he's going down to junior, then
he can't come up and play in the playoffs.
Can't come up. I think he can play in the American Hockey League playoffs. Yeah. He cannot play in the NHL playoffs.
All right, so
I think
here's how the defense looks for Tampa right now. Can you lose Sergachev when you have these players? Hedman, Stralman, Coburn, Girardi, Schuster, Dotchin, and Slater, Kukuk?
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yes,
Slater Kukuk. That is a pretty solid seven people on defense.
But damn, is Sergachev good?
Sure is.
9 points so far? Something along those lines. He's outscoring Drouin, I believe, in goals, assists, and points.
Now, his ELC would also slide too, I believe, if he plays less than 25 games.
How does that work? I'm trying to remember. No, okay. His ELC would only slide if they sent him down right now. It won't slide if he plays like 39 games. That's just when you're allowed to send a player down to junior. Similar to what the Oilers did in the first year of having Leon Draisaitl.
Right.
So he wasn't able to slide.
But he's not going down.
He's not going down. He's
not
too
going
good.
down.
He's too good.
He's too
But
good.
isn't
You don't
it
send down your top 4 defensemen.
even
Yeah.
if he was mediocre, you still have a player who's mediocre at an NHL level and a second round draft pick. But instead, he's so good that you're like, no, I don't need that pick 30 to 35. I'm going to keep the player.
Yeah,
he's
like,
that good.
You know what Tampa needs? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's
Nothing.
so frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it was listening to The Good Show on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and they were running through Tampa Bay up front. You know how we always talk about, the Leafs' best offense in hockey, the Leafs' best offense in the NHL. On paper, it's Tampa. And their defense is probably top 10, and Vasilevsky's playing like he wants the Vezina. I don't know how you stop this team. I don't know. It's not trading chances with them. It's not bulldozing through them. How do you do it?
So I want to point something out here because I think this is important. Cap Friendly shows that this is a conditional pick. If Sergachev doesn't play 40 games this season or playoff games for the Lightning in the 2017-2018 season, then Tampa Bay receives, so that is important. Doesn't play 40 regular season or playoff games, so it's got to be a combined total of the two. Then Tampa Bay receives the Canadiens' second round pick. If he plays 40 games, there are no draft picks exchanged. Now, what I want to throw at you is that they've got this labeled as a Washington Capitals pick originally, which they got for Lars Eller in 2016. So it's not as high as we would have thought.
Screw it. Keep Sergachev. And
Yeah.
if you really, really, really want to game the system, game like 39, Lou Lamoriello steps in as GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning and goes, he's got an injury. He's not slated to come back until at least the playoffs.
It's a combine of the two, though.
Right. It's
got to be 40 games.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
He's
But imagine they put him on LTIR for 60 games.
Can you imagine?
Oh, and he's back for the playoffs.
What a
man.
miracle! Okay, guys, we got to win this series in 5 or less in order to get the pick. No, I mean,
Sergachev had a really bad cold all year.
Sergachev is a top 4 defenseman on that team. He's going to be in the front running for the Calder if Clayton Keller ever decides to slow down. No. Montreal Canadiens fans don't need to worry. That pick is theirs. The only bummer about a conditional pick is you can't. So, like, the Habs are going to get that pick back, but you can't trade it because it's still technically the property of the Tampa Bay Lightning until the condition is satisfied.
So they would be able to trade it for trade deadline.
No.
No.
Now,
If he plays 40 games, then it's theirs.
See, that is interesting. That is interesting because the condition on the pick will have been satisfied.
Yeah.
But if it's not by trade deadline, let's say Sergachev does get an injury, which I hope he doesn't.
even if it is, I feel like a pick you trade. That is a very interesting question. I would like to ask.
I think it's as
Chris
soon-
I
Johnston.
believe
that.
once the condition's fulfilled, then it's yours.
Yeah.
You would think so. That makes the most
But it would
sense.
be very NHL. But no, sorry, you don't get it till July 1st,
That
which would be
is-
hilarious. Well, no, it wouldn't
or
work
until
because-
the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You would
I wanna
think so.
Throw something else at you. Mark Bergevin talked to the media yesterday. Now, Steve, you said, I think a very wise thing on the show last time. and
Dangle jinx is real. He talked the day after we said it was a good idea.
At least it wasn't the hour after, which normally happens.
Yes.
He said, after you said, you can't really talk your way out of a bad situation. He said that he's not going to make a panic move. And Elliot Friedman in 31 Thoughts so eloquently put it, it's, they're not throwing you lifelines. GMs are not throwing him lifelines. They're throwing him anvils at this point.
Well, you know what, though, before you continue? Mark Bergevin, sly like a fox. That smart man. Winning 5-1 at the point in the season that they did is like undoing your belt or undoing your top button after Thanksgiving dinner. God, it was just the pressure relief that he needed. Okay, now I will talk. Hey, how are we all doing? We feeling good? We feeling good? We don't feel like firing me? We feeling good? All right, let's have a press conference.
He says that the answer to the team's problems is in the dressing room. As in, they are going, he said he believes in them.
The team I have assembled is better than this. Again, like, that is probably the right thing to say. It's him taking accountability. Tim and Sid were talking about it, and Sid saw it as Bergevin deflecting accountability. I don't think so. He's the GM. He put the players there. He's basically saying, trust me, this team is better than they're playing.
I don't think that's anything we didn't know. Nobody thought Montreal. That's why this is a story. We thought that maybe they'd struggle to score goals or maybe they'd struggle to compete on certain nights. But I don't think anybody thought non-playoff team bottom of the Eastern Conference. That especially through the first. Now again, it is through the first 10 games
for a wild card, yeah.
But they're a wild card for anybody in the East these days. Excuse me. My point is, I don't think anybody expected them to be bad like this. So him saying the team's better than this. Well, yeah, that's why it's a story, because the team is better than this, and for some reason they're not performing.
But what's interesting to me is, like we said last show, he's running out of cards. There are scenarios. There's no more scenarios. There's two. Okay, two. One is he's right, and the team is fine. And
just fine.
Fine, just fine, and they do better, and they don't necessarily have to make the playoffs. They just need to be in the mix. Two is he's fired. Coach isn't getting fired. What are they going to do? Trade Shea Weber? Trade Carey Price? Do some sort of giant? No.
Well, here's the thing.
There's two scenarios.
Well, here's why I think one of them won't happen. I don't know if you remember this or not, but Marc Bergevin was recently given an extension.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Can you guess what year?
I gotta stop looking at your screen. I'm sorry. Luckily, I can't see that far. No, I can't.
Can you guess what year, both of you, can you guess what year his extension expires in?
I don't think it matters. I think if he deserves to be fired,
just hang on to that thought, because I do have... But just ask.
They're one of like 4 teams in the league who can just pay him. Yeah. We'll pay one of the other 3 or 4 Quebecois guys who will allow us to hire.
However, if you're Jeff Molson, this matters. Now, just bear with me on this. 2021. Jesse, what do you think?
2024.
It's 2022. So if he gets fired at this point, if he never gets another job in the National Hockey League, they will have to pay him, I think, probably close to $1 million at least every year for the next 5 years. Now, that may not seem like a big deal to the Montreal Canadiens as a whole, but when you are the guy writing the check, that's going to sting a little bit. I don't care how rich you are.
He'll write it.
Of course he will. He has to. He legally has to.
Yeah.
And the thing is that's why I think that Marc Bergevin doesn't get fired.
I would love to know how much waste there is in packages. Like every lockout time, it always comes back to the players make too much damn money. And then I think back to, I'm pretty sure the Oilers are still paying Dallas Eakins.
Are they?
That was a 5-year contract he signed.
But if you do, I think
they fired him after year 1.
If I'm not mistaken, as soon as you sign another NHL contract, because you are now working for an NHL team, that contract that you just had expires.
Which Eakins has not.
Yeah.
Oh, but has he worked in the A?
Yeah. I don't think that matters. Unless you have to sign a deal with the NHL franchise to do it, which may be the case. But in that,
that's interesting. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Again, question for CJ, because Torts' contract with Vancouver would have been voided the second that he signed with Columbus. That's a mutual termination. Sure, took a year, I think, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. There was draft picks involved. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of waste in this league, and it's not on the players. IMO, IMHO. That's all I'm throwing out there.
Interesting.
When we eventually have a lockout and we run out of things to talk about.
So we do need to talk about something a little bit more serious and more pressing, and unfortunately...
More law pressing.
You see, because it's Montreal.
La Presse, by the way, is French for the press. Sorry, continue.
Thanks, Steve. Translation, Steve. Mario Tremblay's comments on the radio. Now, if you don't know who Mario Tremblay is, he's a former player for the Montreal Canadiens. He's also a former coach. He is the guy who left Patrick Waugh in the infamous 9-0 game.
That's Mario Tremblay?
That's Mario Tremblay.
Oh!
And that's where Patrick Waugh got off the ice, got onto the bench, and told the general manager,
I'm done.
Trade me, I'm done. And so Mario Tremblay has a radio show in Montreal. And I'm going to read from The Athletic here. On Monday evening, former Canadiens player and coach and current television and radio personality Mario Tremblay went on radio and matter-of-factly mentioned that Alex Galchenyuk has been to detox on 2 separate occasions. He said that as if it was a commonly known fact. It is not.
Well, it is now.
It sure is.
Public. Well, it's not necessarily a fact. It's not confirmed.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone come out and deny it yet.
Did he say for what?
No, like
candy.
Yeah, exactly. Detox could be like
he
has
things.
too much salt in his diet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to sweat up some salt.
But let's not play around here. I think whether or not this is the case, the problem with doing something like this is that any guy that ever seeks help, especially in Montreal, is now going to be worried that his cover's blown. And by the way it works in the NHL is the first couple times they keep it quiet. When you hear about a guy going to rehab in the NHL, that's because he's been a couple times, and they publicly say it.
Yeah, not in Montreal.
And this is a private matter. And for anybody that's dealt with addiction in their family, you're going to know, I think better than most of us, how terrible this was to do. What an awful move this was on Tremblay's part, because there's already a social stigma associated with going to rehab. It means you're a failure. Now, it doesn't, to me, mean you're a failure, but people saw that in the past as you can't control your urges, when in actual fact, it's a disease. And if Alex Galchenyuk, whether or not he's been to rehab, is immaterial. The fact that Mario Tremblay would out him on this is terrible and wrong, and I'm shocked that he has not come out and apologized yet.
Well, and I'm sure you just lost some people who are probably going, well, it's not a disease. Well, okay, let's at least meet in the middle.
It's medically certified. It's a disease.
But some people are going to be like, bleh.
Oh, well, then they're not worth listening to.
No, but humor me. At very least, it's none of your fucking business. At very least, it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
And also, if you're Mario Tremblay, it better be true.
Yeah, true.
It better be true. How much does a radio show host make in Montreal?
I imagine you do pretty good.
How about later? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a dick move, and so I saw this brought up in the thread underneath it. Yeah, it's terrible that it discourages other players from coming forward. As if Galchenyuk is the only player in the end, assuming it's true, as if Galchenyuk is the only player in the NHL going through this right now. There's tons of players who have had incidences, or, some of them known. But because their performance is fine, no one cares.
There are things that we know in our limited exposure to this. We know about some things.
Oh, and this is sad, but whenever someone tells me, oh, so-and-so does blow, like whatever player in the league does blow, like I don't even flinch. Like I don't even bat an eye. It's what you do when you're young, rich, and have too much money. Mm-hmm. Well, at least that's just what I've been told.
Some people do. Anyway.
Yeah. Do we think going to detox has affected his play at center?
It was such a strangely...
Well, he drinks too much, so he can't play center. Well, I don't think he's the only centerman who drank too much.
No.
If that were the case.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's drinking, and I don't know if it's drugs, and I don't know if he went. So let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, no, of course. For the 9th time.
Yes.
Like, hopefully people get it. But it was very strange timing on Mario Tremblay's part, because wasn't this, again, I believe it was after the 5-1 win, and I believe Galchenyuk scored.
Yeah.
And that's the redemption story.
Here's the thing, man. It's such a shitty move. And I don't know Mario Tremblay personally, and quite honestly, before this, I didn't even know I had a radio show. But this is a shitty move, man. And
I didn't know who he was. When you said, I knew the name, and I was like, he sounds like, I don't know, he might be a hockey player, Mario Tremblay. I don't know. I didn't know he was the coach who ruined Patrick Watt's tenure in Montreal. That's hilarious. It's a stupid, shitty move. For his sake, it better be true. And that's the best case scenario for him. It's a terrible scenario for other players.
I want to run through that psychologically. Unless you are the guy that checked him into rehab, at least for me. Mm-hmm. Unless you are the guy that physically was there. If you're going to go on and you're going to say something like that on live TV or live radio where no one has said it before, and they haven't, you can't tell me he didn't know. You better have been there signing the paperwork, because if you hear from somebody, it's like the hot dog story with Phil Kessel. That's a you know what I mean? So here's a flimsy storyline that I heard from a guy. And I'm going to write an entire article on it. And I never saw it. There's no proof of it. But I heard it from a guy. And are you going to go out and you're going to say that because you heard it from a guy?
There's also a little bit more at stake.
Well, of course, but you know what I mean.
I know, yeah.
It's a very different situation.
Same scenario of a guy accusing a guy of doing something when he has really no proof.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry. Where I was going to expand there is there's more at stake because he's still with the team, whereas Kessel had already left.
Oh, I thought you meant because it's rehab.
There's obviously more at stake. Very obviously.
Rehab, same thing.
Is it a morning show hosts or whatever time slot he has? Is it a radio show host who is not a journalist's job to break information like that? If you let's say Mario Tremblay,
depends on what your brand is.
Let's say he hears it from a reliable source, and he believes it to be true. Can he not go on air and fiddle-faddle with that a little bit?
Sure, if it's a trade or free agent signing, this is rehab. This is a person's life.
If this came from a journalist, do we look at it differently?
Absolutely.
I know, but I would still
go in there and be like, Galch, I've heard things off the ice. I've heard things and different things than are already out there, which is still inflammatory. It's provocative.
It gets the people going.
At very least, you're not matter-of-factly saying a very specific thing,
I think yes. It depends on what your brand is too. So you talk about Jesse, a journalist coming out with this information. Under what context, pretense? What is the context of this information ever coming out? When is it acceptable? In what context, unless Galch himself comes forward and says, guys, I had a really tough time a couple years ago. I went to rehab. I went to detox a couple times. The Montreal Canadiens organization have been all class and they stood behind me and blah, 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 blah. And I'm better now. And here's my redemption story and that sort of thing. And I'm willing to talk about it now because there might be somebody out there who's going through the same thing and is in a dark place. That I get.
Or if the police are involved.
Which
happened in Montreal with Zach Cassian. I believe
he was in a car accident, right? They traded him to Edmonton.
And he wasn't the driver, and it's weird. We know a weird amount of details with that. And now he's in Edmonton, and he's actually doing pretty well.
But again, what does it add? I understand that. Listen, if you are,
what does it add to the show?
If you're abusing substances, no matter who you are, eventually that catches up with you in whatever you have to perform at. Whether you're an accountant or you're a rock star or you're an athlete, you have to. If you abuse substances, eventually that'll come back and bite you and affect your performance, right? I think we're all agreed on that. It's pretty much guaranteed.
Probably.
So in that context, it's probably why he brought it up. But again, you're talking about something that is, even if you are the best journalist out there, what possible gain could you have from giving that information out? This is a guy that's obviously gone through something really hard. And also, if you look at the metrics, they're not playing him the proper way. He's playing on the fourth line.
No, and there's a lot there. And, playing him on the fourth line might not necessarily be to optimize him. It might be to humble him, or it might be to get a point across or something like that. I was about to say sort of like Mitch Marner, but that is extraordinarily different on a variety of levels. I guess it just makes Mario Tremblay look like he knows what he's talking about. Haven't we seen Mark? Well, Mark Madden, I don't know, has ever said anything like this. But
Mark just talks about himself and talks about how great Mark is.
But he's a guy who often says, I have it on good authority.
Sure.
He hasn't said something quite like this.
It's the Fox News. Some people are saying, many people are saying, who are these people? But they were brilliant. We can bring up a point that we wanted to bring up. And so many people said this rather than we said this or we think this, so we don't have to take ownership of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Has Galchenyuk had a media availability since this happened?
I don't think so.
I'm going to go with probably not, unless it happened this morning.
Yeah, when was this? Was it yesterday?
This was yesterday, and it became a big thing yesterday evening.
Oh, so it's been less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's again one of those strange Montreal stories that broke in French, I believe, and it took a while. Which is strange because I saw a few people tweeting about it in English. There's this Twitter phenomenon that I don't know if I never see people complain about it, but it always drives me nuts. Is someone from Montreal will quote tweet something that is in French and then in English be like, "Wow, I can't believe it."
Translate it.
Can't believe what?
Yeah.
Can't believe what? I didn't do that well, and for crying out loud. Something Cheese. There's cheese and Wednesday. Those are the only words I reckon.
I'm sort of surprised sometimes when I read French tweets in response to French articles. Actually, how much I retain.
Oh, very good.
I was like, wow, I can actually somewhat make out what this guy's saying. I'm impressed. I haven't taken French since grade 9.
Yeah, no, I get stuff here.
Anyway,
and there. If they had asked how to go to the bathroom in the tweet, I might remember it. Or if they said the dates.
I think the point is here, Mario Tremblay is on the radio for a very specific reason. He's a player, he was a coach, he's got connections to the organization, and he's probably entertaining to listen to. Otherwise, you wouldn't have him there. If he was totally boring, it wouldn't matter what connections he has, he'd be useless to you. And everybody steps out of line, everybody makes mistakes. And in a hockey mad market like Montreal, things get amplified pretty quick. I just think this is a good time for everybody to take a step back and go, okay, there is a race for the information and for explaining why a player isn't playing well and why a team isn't playing well. And then there is crossing the line. And to me, that's a line crossed.
Yeah.
And fully open to him apologizing, redeeming himself, second chance, totally understand that. However, I do think that was crossing it and crossing it in a big way. And let that be a lesson to anybody who is broadcasting. And I've made my mistakes as well.
Totally.
You sometimes cross the line as an example for others.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it sucks to be the example.
It does suck. It sucks because you get shamed and shamed and shamed.
And you go, look, I am mad at me.
Yeah.
If you asked me to redo it, I wouldn't do it. Oh, shoot, I forgot what I was about to say.
So there was an agent, Dan Milstein, who is at Hockey Agent 1, tweeted, Alex Galchenyuk isn't a problem, but coach is. He never successfully coached a Russian. Took mid-season most Russian club, as in Montreal last season. All but one of the Russians are gone.
So is Dan Milstein Francophone? Because that's very broken.
I think he tried to fit it all into one tweet because he's never heard of a threat.
Okay, no, I was very confused. So what I think that tweet actually meant is he took the most Russian team in the NHL last season.
The Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal, apparently. I had no idea. And by the end of the season, there was only one left. If you could open that back up there, Adam. Because Josh Goldsmith had a good... that quote is from Josh Goldsmith.
I'll read what Josh Goldsmith tweeted.
Yes.
Milstein represents many Russian players, including Nikita Kucherov, Artemi Panarin, Pavel Datsyuk, but he's not Galch's agent.
That's Pat Brisson.
Pat Brisson, courtesy to the courtesy phone, Pat Brisson, paging Pat Brisson. And then it says, strange fight for Milstein to pick considering he doesn't represent Galch, who's American by birth and Belarusian by descent. So that's interesting, yeah.
Well...
And I was kind of trying to figure out, does Milstein represent any Russian players that used to play for Julien in Buffalo or in Montreal the first time? I'm trying to figure out where that came from.
Boston. He played in Boston.
Who was a Russian in Boston?
Anton Khudobin is the only one I can think of.
NHL legend. Top 100 player.
Anton Khudobin. That's just a dumb move for an agent to pull. What do you get out of that?
Well, agents are very man. Agents are so opinionated on Twitter. Hockey agents, it's crazy.
Which is a little bit dumb. Like, you want teams to want your player, and there are times probably where it's right to go to bat for them, but you don't want to be the headache that causes your client to be unwanted around this league, which directly costs you money.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you make 3% on each of your clients' contracts, which I think some of these agents do, something around those lines. If you cost them 500 G's, like, what is that? What is that? That's if my
it's 500 grand.
Crappy math is correct. Yeah, but for you personally, it's 15 grand, isn't it? How many tweets? How much is it?
How many tweets are worth? How much are your tweets worth?
Yeah,
as an agent,
that's an expensive tweet. That's a very expensive tweet, sir.
And it's not making life better for Galch. Now, regarding Galch's actual play, the personal, whatever perceived personal issues there may be, real or perceived, that is. Andrew Berkshire did a great breakdown before all of this happened on Sportsnet a couple days ago that I think you should read if you're interested.
And
especially
it
if you're
got buried. It's like 3 or 4 Galchenyuk items down now.
Yes, but and you know what? Maybe we can just get Berkshire, if you're listening, tweet this out again. And he basically goes into what has held Alex Galchenyuk back and what the metrics are showing us in terms of his play. And the short answer to the long question, and I encourage you to read it because it's actually very, very interesting, is if you actually play him, like if you expose him to scoring chances, he's going to score. But they haven't been doing that. Like it's funny. You can't get a sunburn if you don't go outside. You know what I mean? You can't.
Yes, Uncle Adam.
Yeah, well, do you know what I mean? Like you actually have to let him walk out the front door before he get. Like how is he supposed to work his way back up?
Do you let him put on sunscreen when you let him outside?
Well, maybe. But then put him on the second line. That's sunscreen for Galch. He's a 30-goal scorer, or was. And it's one bad year. Like
you can't get wet if you don't jump in the pool.
Imagine Anze Kopitar was a Montreal Canadien and had the year that he had in LA last year.
Never in him. Sorry.
It's true.
Do we have more?
Oh, I'm sure there's many.
No.
Many to be. Imagine Anze Kopitar.
Yes.
What did he have? 4 goals? He
didn't have a good year.
He had a terrible year last year in LA. Imagine Kopitar is a Montreal Canadien.
I'm sure Bergevin does that every day.
What kind of hell is he living in right now if he had that year that he had last year on that Canadiens team?
Buddy, it's a Montreal. People don't believe me when I say Montreal is the toughest media market. Like straight up. Straight up. It's the toughest place to play. Easily. You need any proof? What we talked about for the first 5 minutes of the show. There you go.
That wasn't 5 minutes, by the way. I believe that was 25 minutes.
For the first 25 minutes?
Is there any legal action that can be taken against?
You could, if you said, you have to first off prove that they damaged Alex Galchenyuk's reputation. If you're going to sue him,
maybe,
which is possible because it's very precarious in hockey, right?
Especially if this didn't happen.
Even if it's a lie,
has to have not happened.
Even if it's a lie, you need to be able to prove it's a lie, which I think,
and that it cost you money,
and even if it's yes to A and B, it might be not worth the time to prove.
You might lose all the settlement money to lawyers. Honestly. And that, I think, is the lawyer's idea.
And I'm trying to think of...
I think that's what they want.
Exactly. There's only one example I can think of a player suing a reporter and winning. And I believe that was Sean Avery on Howard Berger.
Oh, really?
Sued him for libel, and Berger had to apologize. I don't know all the specifics there. And I don't even remember what he claimed. That was many moons ago. It was at least 10 years ago. Something along those lines, yeah.
I don't even remember that.
It might be in his book. We should try to get Sean Avery on.
We should.
I want to ask him if that ninja story is true, the one we told last episode about the trainer.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I also want to ask him if he was a bully.
Why didn't anybody like you?
Yeah. You came in with tons of potential. I mean, I think your potential in NHL 2005 was at least 95.
Oh, man. It's like if we got you, Patrick O'Sullivan,
Philip Dupuis,
Merrick Svatos.
Oh, Merrick Svatos. Oh, my God.
Dan Blackburn in net. Martin Stanley. No, I don't think he had that great of
because he was already a star.
The year when he was on the cover, he was the best player in the game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We're talking about like an all-potential team.
Yeah.
Players that are like in the 60, 70. But then they, if you keep them for a couple seasons.
Who else was sick? Trying to remember. Oh, Alex Semin. If you kept him for like 2 or 3 seasons, was the best player in the game. He was the best. I always tried to get him and giggle because I was a child and his name, Alex. What a silly name.
So the main question in Edmonton up to a couple days ago was, will the Oilers ever score a goal ever again? Will the Edmonton Oilers ever score a goal again? And they did.
They did.
Well, and the guy who is supposed to score goals for the Edmonton Oilers is the guy who scored the 1 goal. They got a point.
But enough about Patrick Maroon now.
I think it's interesting.
Do you think it's funny how?
I just think it's funny how. No, it was funny because I think it was, Mark Spector wrote an article on Sportsnet with a very inflammatory headline. And it said...
Mark, no.
I think Mark would come on here and just laugh about that. He'd be like, yeah, I did.
He's probably the best headline game right
He
now.
does.
He's very strong.
You don't miss Mark Spector's articles.
No.
Like Elliot's sometimes, even 31 Thoughts, can slip through.
Yeah.
Mark Spector is like, whoa.
Mark has never read a comment section in his life. Like, Mark is very good at the strategy of say a thing and just
walk away,
bulldoze your way through all the criticism and keep saying that.
He lights the match, turns around, and walks away.
We should get him on the show.
That would be fun.
We've lit him up a couple times on this show, and then someone introduced me to him, I want to say at the World Cup of Hockey. And he just turns around and in the warmest way possible goes, Dangle! I was like, I had no idea he had any idea who I was.
Listen.
He's like, love your stuff, buddy, love your stuff. Meanwhile, for years, I'd be like, friggin' dinosaurs, go Corsi. But he was warm. Anyway, what were you saying?
Mark is really good at drawing a line in the sand, and I believe the headline was, and I might be paraphrasing a little bit here, but the Edmonton Oilers' arrogance has been shoved down their throat.
Wow.
That was a sportsnet.ca headline. And he wrote an article about how the Edmonton the main concern for Todd McLellan going into the season, he said, was not the talent on the team, it was mindset. He actually quoted Mark Spector actually quoted Todd McLellan saying that. And he said, and isn't that the case? They believed their own hype, according to Mark Spector. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I do find it very interesting.
Wow, it's really amazing to see the headline.
You have to see it. It's an actual. Did I get it right?
Oilers' arrogance shoved back down their throats
by Mark Spector, and the lead that you can read before even clicking the thing is, here are the facts. The team thought it would be, here are the facts.
I'm starting everything with, here are the facts.
Here are the facts. This team thought it would be easy this season. They bought into the idea of a waltz to some more playoff success. That sounds an awful lot like an opinion instead of a fact. But damn it, if an opinion from Mark Spector isn't a fact. Know the facts, Mark Spector. See, I have era-adjusted. Elliot Friedman has 31 thoughts, and Mark Spector has know the facts. Here are the facts. Love it.
Mark would
love it. That's so funny.
The thing is, when he does his TV hits, too, I always look out for him because I know he's going to say something. There's always going to be something that's like,
always looks pissed off,
like he's in a very dry forest about to drop a match on the ground, and
with no remorse.
But he's very warm. Like he's a nice, like you can tell
the forest fire.
But he's also, it's like as soon as you talk about the Oilers or Flames, he's like, whoosh, turn on the flamethrower, let's go.
Yeah.
But he, what was interesting about that article?
How do you feel about Toronto coverage, Mark? Sorry.
What interesting about that article is that Elliot Friedman, in his Elliot Friedman way, said something along those lines. Now, it wasn't a mindset thing. This is a more technical thing, and that's why I say it's a more Elliot Friedman thing. But again, I'm deriving a lot of what our show is on 31 Thoughts because it was really good this week. And it's always all the touch points in the NHL anyway, so there's no way to avoid it.
One of these days, I'm going to do everything in my power to get Friedman to write 31 Thoughts hungover and pissed off. So we get the best 31 thoughts ever.
He was salty a couple weeks ago. We talked about it. There's some salty moments. I like
salty Friedge. We need salty Friedge.
So here's what Elliot said. A couple of Edmonton's preseason opponents warned that, aside from Connor McDavid, the Oilers were not a fast team. We'll see what happens when Leon Draisaitl returns, but at some point, they will be on the lookout for speed.
Now, you know what I was thinking the other day? And Oilers fans, get ready to roll your eyes, because how is Steve going to find a way to make this about the Leafs? Two ways, since you asked.
Could you ask?
Glad you asked. Two ways. One is I was thinking the other day, boy, there's some teams in the NHL the Leafs could really help out. Oilers being one of them. Any team that needs offense, the Leafs could help out.
Why would you? Why would you help another team?
They're literally keeping Josh Leivo prisoner. Why is supposedly JVR is playing tonight?
No, we'll get to that.
Okay,
Hold on.
Okay, fine. Anyway, they have surplus NHL talent. Kapanen, Leivo, Soshnikov, maybe etc. Oh, Eric Fair. Potentially. I mean, not necessarily for offense, but
since it's close to Halloween, Eric's scared.
Oh, God!
Because he's spooky.
You're not allowed to say that. You hate Halloween. You're the devil. You should be the devil for Halloween.
Well, no, because
unless you hate dressing up.
I can't be the devil. I hate Halloween. Devil loves Halloween.
That's fine. You hate Halloween parties?
The devil's not involved in Halloween.
Yes, it is supposed to be like the Devil's Night. That was because when the
Night of the Dead.
Yeah, if you go back into the, I believe from what I understand, it was obviously a pagan New Year's festival, and then the Catholic Church tried to make it like,
I thought that was Christmas.
This was like the New Year, and then Christmas was something else. But anyway,
supposedly December 25th was already a pagan holiday, and the Christians came in and said, "Well, funny you should say that. Jesus was born on this day."
That's called dropping your trump card. Anyway, so they basically took over Halloween, they took over Christmas. In a way to bring the pagans, I guess, into the fold.
How can you make this about the Leafs? I'll
in the
raise
Roman
you
times,
the pagans.
Anyway, so how can you make this about the Leafs?
So I was thinking about how the Leafs could help a team like the Oilers by potentially giving them a forward in exchange for I don't know what. But then I was thinking about what do the Leafs really, really, really need? A defenseman would be nice.
I think they need, if they're going to get a defenseman, it better be high end. You don't need low end defenseman.
Which the Oilers can't afford to give.
No.
And very few teams can afford to give, so too bad. Like the Leafs, here's what the Leafs need to do. Nothing. They're 7-2.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Don't pick at it.
That high price they were asking for Leivo, supposedly, yeah, they can afford to ask it because there's no reason to trade him. There's no reason. The second thing, let's pretend Mark's facts are facts. That the Oilers thought they would just waltz back into the playoffs.
Speculations?
Oh! Why aren't you a dad yet, Scott? I think know the speculations. There it is. 31 thoughts and know the speculations.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fact versus speculation. Oh God,
that takes like a mile to get there, but it gets there.
We get there.
It gets there.
It's like a carjack.
It's good.
So anyway, the Oilers thought they would waltz into the season. Let's pretend that's true. The Leafs heading into the season, I mean, the media couldn't jump on the hype train quickly enough. This is the year, and oh boy, they're a stronger team. And do you believe the hype? Do you believe the hype? And they all said the same thing, almost as if it was a plan. Mm-hmm. We haven't done anything yet.
True, because they haven't done anything yet.
Which the Oilers, I mean, they did do something. They made it to Game 7 of Round 2. They won a round. They won a playoff round.
Yeah, and almost won a second one.
Almost won a second one.
Like they were real close. Away. Game 7.
But now what is accomplishment?
Was it Game 7?
It was a little bit of Game 7.
You did a Steve.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. I'm trying just making notes for the next topic. Sorry, my bad.
Here's how poor the listening is. He didn't listen, and I didn't listen to him not listening. But Jesse is on the ball.
Listen, it's a 2-hour show.
I won't listen.
And we normally do listen to each other because we talk at each other. Well, not to each other the whole time. So normally we're listening. It's just glaring when we don't. Anyway, you were saying.
I'm just remembering a tweet I saw that a gathering of white men is called a podcast.
That's really funny.
I just thought it was.
That's actually kind of true.
I thought it was funny. Anyway,
I beg to differ.
I don't know. Maybe. No, a podcast is just a bunch of dudes yelling over each other.
As you were saying.
I don't remember what I was saying. That's why I'm stalling.
Why don't you just say that?
Because now
we're talking about how the Leafs could help.
Want to admit
how the Leafs could help the Oilers out. How Josh Leivo's price is high.
All you got to admit is you didn't do anything. Like all you got to do is, what is accomplishment? The Stanley Cup? Yeah, so just say we haven't done anything yet. The Ducks could say the same thing too. They haven't done anything yet.
They have in the past.
Didn't win the Cup last year, yeah. The Sens didn't accomplish anything yet. But Game 7. Go ahead, Adam, say Game 7. Double overtime of Game 7, Eastern Conference Final. They haven't accomplished anything yet. So if the goal is the Stanley Cup, focus on the goal. And I think Babcock and company worked really hard on getting the Leafs youngins to be like, you haven't done shit. And the Oilers maybe did believe their own hype. Maybe, which is weird because they have such a good leadership group of highly paid Milan Lucic and
That's
what?
So I'm
sorry. I shouldn't pick on Lucic. That's not fair.
It's unfair to him. But here's the thing.
He's overpaid.
Sure, he is.
A little bit overpaid.
I don't think there's any question about that. I think he was overvalued, and I don't know why they paid him as much as they did, other than I think that there is a recency bias when you have a general manager of the Boston Bruins move to the Edmonton Oilers. He's so great. He's so great. Well, it's because you saw him 82 games a year.
I look at Lucic the same way we look at Matt Martin. He plays a role on the team, and if the coach and the GM...
A $7 million role?
If they feel he's necessary, then maybe it's okay.
I think the difference is...
Dollar amount.
Well, a dollar amount. B, at the end of the day, what accomplishments justify that? And that's, yes, he did win the cup, and yes, and that's fine. And it's not Lucic himself. But when you're constructing a team... It seems to me like...
Can you bring up their daily face-off page?
You want to decide what you are as a team. And I don't understand, and I didn't understand at the time, this young, fast team bringing in this guy who's none of those things.
Well, apparently they're not fast.
Same thing about Matt Martin.
Yeah, he could. Just, I guess, there's a $5.5 million difference. And I think maybe that's it for me. If Milan Lucic was making $2.5 million... We're not talking about Lucic in the same way.
Maybe he's got a similar role to Matt Martin, but they expect him to do more.
I do find it funny, though, that they constructed a slow team around Connor McDavid.
So here are their lines, according to dailyfaceoff.com. The top line is Patrick Maroon, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl.
Because Leon's back.
Yeah, we do need to keep in mind that Draisaitl's been out. Then it goes Milan Lucic, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Mark Letestu. I would still say that's a pretty damn good line.
Yeah.
Drake Caggiula, Ryan Strome, who I don't know if he's really fit in yet, and Zach Kassian. Okay. UC Jokinen, Juhar Kara, and Anton Slepyshev. You know what? I'm not really seeing the problem here. I expected to go through this lineup and be like, see, they stink. Well, I don't think so.
They might just be underperforming. Ryan Strome has had a bad couple years, and I think it's going to take him a while to find some confidence. The guy's got the talent.
Maybe, and even looking at their defense, Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, that's an okay top pairing. Chris Russell, Darnell Nurse, that's where you maybe start to recognize, Andrei Sekera is missing from the equation. And Johan Oivitu, who used to be on the Devils and even scored on the Leafs. I remember that. And Matt Benning. Okay, I've never even heard of Matt Benning. I think he's Jim Benning's son. Maybe I have heard of Matt Benning. Mm-hmm. And you still got Cam Talbot and net. Is it possible that they're just underperforming in the same way that the Habs may be underperforming as well?
I think that's for sure the case.
This league doesn't have teams, and maybe this is a perfect lead into the Arizona Coyotes. The NHL does not have teams that are horrible naturally. Mm-hmm. Okay, the 69-point Toronto Maple Leafs who finished last. Horrible?
Not horrible. Buffalo Sabres the year before. Colorado Avalanche the year after.
Not naturally horrible. Not naturally horrible either.
The Avalanche were naturally horrible.
What do you mean by that?
So this is what I mean. They think they're good and they just suck. They suck. The Avalanche lost Varlamov. They lost Eric Johnson, and I believe they lost several other parts. They were never going to be good, but they weren't going to be 47 points bad. The Sabres, who got 54 points, they were selling on top of selling. They had one mission, either get Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel. Their mission was to suck.
And they accomplished it.
Yeah.
They're still accomplishing it. That's the problem.
The Habs being as bad as they are, the Oilers being as bad as they are, no last place team in the NHL should get under 65 points, let's say. Mm-hmm. Because even the bad teams are still pretty good, unless there is injury involved. Which is why that's how we get to the Arizona Coyotes. Right. Maybe. Did you want to go there?
Yeah. Yep. Well, first off, I just want to shout out the Coyote subreddit specifically because I don't know if you've seen this or not. And I don't think people quite get how funny this is. They, instead of talking about the Arizona Coyotes hockey team, they take pictures from Google of coyotes and talk about how great those pictures are.
Because why not?
Here's a coyote playing with a ball. Here's a coyote sitting like a good boy. That is what they're doing. They're like, wow, he sits so well. And everybody on the Coyotes page is so depressed that that's what they're talking about.
See, I thought that was just lovers of Coyotes taking over from like fans of the hockey team.
And people thought, oh, they just replaced all the hockey pictures with Coyotes pictures. No. They're putting a picture of a actual physical Coyote up and they're commenting on it.
Would we do that? Here are our favorite leaves.
We should have.
Leaves.
There was a couple years.
Rank 1, maple.
Do we like it crunchy? Do we like it soft? Do we want it freshly dropped or a little bit dried out? That's the thing, right?
Why do we rake the leaves? Because after the winter they smell. I kind of like it.
Can you name one other type of leaf?
Thanks for catching me in that there, Jesse. No. No. I can only think of
That's what I thought.
needle trees. And, no, there's red maple.
Nope.
Other kinds, the purple ones that a neighbor girl told me if you eat them, you fall asleep for 3 days.
Did you try?
No, I was afraid. She scared me. I was like 8.
Man, I'm going to take a long weekend and do that sometime.
Yeah.
Just eat a purple leaf and see what happens.
So whether that turns out to just be a really good prank or a really good high, I want to thank Emerita for putting that in my head when I was 8 years old.
Good.
Thank you, Emerita.
Hey, Steve. Long divide.
I don't know how to long divide.
Now,
No.
the Coyotes are 0-8-1.
How? Sway.
They are
How?
too good for this. I wonder if, honestly, and I hate...
Can you go to the Daily Face-Off for them? Because that is something to behold, sir. Wait till you see this.
I wonder if it's not the coach,
Who is the coach?
Rick Tocchet.
Wayne Gretzky. That happened.
And which was an interesting choice. He's been an assistant coach for a long time.
Sure.
And I wonder if he's got to change up his systems. And I'm not saying Rick Tocchet's a bad coach. I'm just saying maybe it's time for a systems change.
Well, I get a load of this, okay? Max Domi, Derek Stepan, Clayton Keller.
Good first line.
Clayton Keller's over a point a game. Stepan is around it. Domi's around it. I believe their points, because I read it this morning, is 7, 7, and 10. Domi has 7.
That's good.
Stepan is 7. Clayton Keller, rookie, 10 points in 9 games.
Good for him.
That's
That's
enormous.
better than anybody on the Montreal Canadiens.
Wow.
That's true. Not better than Sergachev, though.
Nope.
I think it is, actually.
I'm pretty sure
Yes.
he's got...
Isn't he at 9?
Oh, is he? I'm gonna
Way to
check
go,
that.
idiot.
I'm gonna check
For not
that.
knowing that off the top of your head.
Idiot.
You know what? I would have got a tweet about that, so thank you.
Second line.
You should also check it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, the Leafs got a shutout against the Caps.
yes.
Okay, can we all stop tweeting about that?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
good.
got 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists.
Idiot.
Second line, Mario Kempe, not the guy from the Kings, who is also not a defenseman, by the way. Can we also stop tweeting about that? Sorry, Mario Kempe, Christian Dvorak, and Tobias Reeder. Not an ideal second line, featuring brother of guy who I didn't know existed last week, Christian Dvorak, who I think is a rookie or a sophomore, and Tobias Reeder.
Christian Dvorak's supposed to be a player, though.
He's supposed to be a player.
Would you build a second line out of the Leafs extras that's better than the Coyotes?
You mean like Kapanen, Levo, and
Like Greening.
Miro Aaltonen?
Yeah.
Oh, alternate. Jesus.
Or Eric
yes.
Fair.
So
Or
there's
Eric
your answer.
Fair.
Yes, you could.
Yes.
Yes, you could.
That's not good.
Third line, Jordan Martinook, Brad Richardson, Anthony Duclair.
Anthony Duclair has really, since he was traded for Keith Yandel, what happened there?
I don't know. And fourth line, Zach Ronaldo,
Oh,
NHL player, Nick Cousins.
Well, I mean,
and
that's
Christian
debatable.
Fisher.
I don't know.
That was the
Zach
joke.
Ronaldo, yeah.
That's the joke.
Sorry, I'm just driving by going,
No,
hey!
NHL player Zach Ronaldo. I don't know about that. Steve, you don't know the facts.
That's like saying Patrick Coletta was an NHL player. I mean, he played in the NHL, but he was never a player.
And now I look at their defense. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Jason Demers. I don't see the problem then.
That's pretty good.
Got first line?
Alex Goligoski, Luke Shen. You know what? We make fun of Luke Shen, but he's done all right for himself in Arizona. Adam Clendenning, Nicholas Holmerson. What is Holmerson doing all the way down there?
I think he might be sheltering Glendening.
I don't
know if Glendening needs it, but
Now, I'll show you.
Now-
Jesse, can you quickly look up, just go to the Coyotes Hockey DB page so I can show you their goaltending?
while Jesse's doing that, I want to throw this out there. OEL
Yep.
is a free agent in 2019.
Also minus 10,
Yes.
which I know we don't talk
People are
about
calling-
plus minus, but
People are calling John Chayka about him. Apparently, he's not available.
yeah. No, don't don't bother.
Will OEL be the defensive Shane Doan? As in stuck in Arizona limbo forever.
Well, Jesse's looking it up. When is Erik Karlsson a free agent?
2019.
Don't say that.
Buddy.
He's never a free agent is the answer.
Yeah,
He's not. They give him stocks. He's a part owner of the Sens. That's what he is.
Hey, you want the team?
Yeah.
You can have it.
Clayton Keller, 10 points. Stepan, 7. Domi, 7. Like, a few guys are scoring. It's a little slim after that. Their goaltending. Does you want to know? I know there was an injury, but I'm just going to read it out. Antti Ranta in 3 games. Save percentage.
Is he injured?
I think he is.
Okay.
Save percentage, 911.
All right.
Could be worse. Louis Domingue in 6 games. 858. And Aiden Hill, who I think had to be called up, is an 889. They have not been getting goaltending. I don't know how bad their defense is or anything.
Which is, it's so funny that's the case because, again, Calvin Pickard was available on waivers.
Sure was. Yeah, but again, it's funny. A bunch of things have happened recently where you go, man, if that had just happened last week, that really could have, answered some questions. If Eric Fehr goes on waivers before the Penguins go out and get Riley Sheahan, do they go out and get Riley Sheahan? Pickard, same thing. Do you go out and get him right after you acquire Antti Ranta?
Does he even go on waivers if both their goalies don't get injured?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Pickard probably doesn't even go on waivers.
Probably playing for Vegas.
And there's this weird musical chairs thing that's happening where Vegas had Fleury and Pickard. Subban went on waivers. They decided they wanted Subban, so they got him. They didn't want to carry 3 goalies. They figured, I don't know, whatever. They trade Pickard to the Leafs. Both their goalies go down. As a result, they have to call goalies up from the Chicago Wolves.
Oscar Dansk, specifically.
Yes, the Leafs have
loan.
3 goalies in the AHL. They loan one of them to the Chicago Wolves.
Well, and
it's not Pickard.
I wanted to talk about
It's
that.
Kaskisuo.
I wanted to talk about that. So I do want to talk about Vegas because I think there's some weird shit happening there, and I think we ought to talk about. But to finish up on the Coyotes, I don't think anyone's expecting them to be a playoff team, but not this bad.
Losing kind of becomes itself.
And Lawson Krause, by the way, was sent down again.
I saw that, yeah.
Poor guy.
And Strome is not up either.
There's a team where if they're willing to pay it, Justin Bourne tweeted before the season even started, Josh Leivo strikes me as the kind of guy who could go to a team like the Coyotes, I think he even said, and score 15 or 20 goals. I'm sure Leivo's like, yeah, you bet.
End up
Halverson, shut up.
That's what I want.
We're going to end up getting the world for Leivo.
I mean, this
Or we
is
keep
the
Leivo.
crazy, the insane thing about the Leafs is how they stay healthy. It's a miracle watching what happened to JVR's knee that he's about to play tonight. And believe me, I think Josh Leivo thinks so too.
Well, he didn't miss a shift.
That's insane.
It's stupid.
That is absolutely insane.
Playoff JVR in the first 10 games.
I don't like if the answer is JVR is less than 100%. It's game 10. Sit him. You got Josh Leivo collecting dust.
Here's what Sportsnet's most recent update is. JVR will be a game time decision. Now, I thought it was interesting. This is a good segue because I wanted to talk about this anyway.
Okay.
Josh Leivo was skating on the 4th line yesterday. And
not today.
So not only does Josh Leivo want to play, I'm sure Mitch Marner wants to play up. That would be fun. And Connor Brown, Tyler Bozak, Mitch Marner sounds like a pretty fun line to me.
Yeah, I think Connor Brown on the left, probably Bozy, and then Marner on the right.
Now, they were talking to Mike Babcock about Josh Leivo's situation, and he shut it down in a way. This is the only Leaf stuff I have today. He shut it down in a way
Well, they haven't played.
that I thought was outstanding. And I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have the audio because we don't fully have the audio system figured out here, but we will by next show.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
I could always read it.
Can we hear it?
Oh, no.
Babcock?
No, we can't.
No,
I'm going to paraphrase it anyway, so I don't even have that.
All right, fair enough.
So what he said was that he's talked to Leivo about being the 13th guy on a 12-man roster.
Josh, I'm sorry.
And
But I'm not really.
Apparently, Josh Leivo has a very good attitude about it.
I mean, he would have to.
He says he's got a very good attitude about it. And Mike Babcock did go on to say, which was unprompted, and I like this. He said, we've had guys here in the past who have been upset about being the 13th man. Yes. And then they've gone elsewhere and found out that they weren't NHL players.
Now, it's funny. Jesse, what were you about to say?
Who's he talking about?
Well, a lot of people immediately went to Frank Corrado, and they said Frank Corrado, who ironically got called up this morning.
Yeah, right before the show.
Amazing.
Doesn't mean he'll play, though. He's been called up before and not played.
Yeah, not necessarily, although Justin Schultz, right-handed shot, is on the IR. Corrado gets called up, right-handed shot. Maybe they will use him. Yeah, that seems to be a direct dig at Peter Holland. I think Corrado's still young enough that, he could be a regular CHL player. Holland was drafted in the same draft as Nazem Kadri, who has been part of the Leafs organization for 8 years, going on 9. I feel bad for Pistol. But that is exactly the position he was in last year. He was the extra guy, while Leivo was on the IR and technically not the extra guy. That seems to be a direct dig at Josh.
Well, I just think it's funny how he kind of cleared that up, as in, and he did go on to say, Babcock did go on to say that if Leivo got in, he said, and plays well, it's going to be harder for him to lose that spot. He said that's the thing, it's getting in that's the hard part.
Oh my God, look at him last year though. Poor Josh. Didn't he get hurt to come out of the lineup last year though?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. Leivo's going to play.
Yeah, of course he is.
There are 8 positions he can play. There's just no way the Leafs make it the entire season and all 8 stay healthy.
And could you not say the same about Kasperi Kapanen?
Probably. Well, that is the interesting thing to me, is who the hell do you call up in the event of an injury? Because you don't want to call up Kapanen not to play him. So,
well, in the event of an injury, Josh Leivo plays. You don't call anyone.
There's been a few seasons where the Leafs have had a minor league player. They've had a call up play the entire season because someone was hurt at every point during the season. Byron Fraze comes to mind. That guy played well over half the season as a guy who I don't think even made the team out of camp, just because guys kept getting hurt. Leivo. It's hilarious.
The best case scenario for the Leafs, though, and what we should all be rooting for, is that Leivo never plays.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Or he plays so well in practice one day that they're like, okay, we'll put him in, and he plays really well in the game, and then he outplays whoever he replaces, which I can't see happening. But
I don't think
you know what I mean?
Like, to outplay anybody, because that means they dropped out.
Hey, but if he's a better player.
Yeah, like this try this guy out, try that guy out, try this guy out, try that guy out. Like that little storyline made a little bit more sense last year, because the Leafs started bad. They had 2 wins in October. I forgot that. Went back and looked recently.
But we didn't panic because there was nothing to panic about because our expectations were so low.
Yeah, but I know they're going to be bad.
Still have Austin. Still scored 4 goals in that game against Ottawa. That was cool. we lost. But, yeah, and then he scored against Winnipeg and we lost that too.
Because he didn't cover Turris. Son of a gun. It made a little bit more sense last year. This year they're 7-2.
Leave it. Leivo it. I mean, if you're gonna,
because do you think they should free though?
No, I don't.
Acting a fool.
I don't, and I don't think Josh Leivo would want you to put a hashtag free Josh Leivo out there.
He gets an NHL contract. The Leafs might even re-sign him. No, of course they signed him to 2 years, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And Mike Babcock, it's not that they don't like him. He said, listen, you get paid to train and be ready. So be ready when you're called.
He's got a great job. That kid has got a great job. Silly, stupid factor. If I'm not mistaken, every single time JVR has a chance to play his brother, TVR, one of them is hurt. And they never get to play each other. Is this JVR going, no,
I'm playing my brother.
I'm playing him. Because it might be. It might be a little bit.
I'm excited too.
I don't know either.
I'm excited to get I think there's a little bit of that.
Buddy, we're talking about a hockky player here. Like they're not the most forward-thinking people.
Where did JVR grow up?
New Jersey.
He was a good old Sarnia kid. I could see that. But he's an American. He's an American boy. You don't really have that rivalry like we have.
And there's anything Americans are known for, it's giving up.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, look what happened to them in the space race, right?
Yeah. What?
Adam pulled out the real dad reference.
The Russians got into space with Sputnik, and then John F. Kennedy said, "Well, you know what, America, we're done. Forget the moon. We're going to do something else. Let's birth the Kardashians."
One of my favorite quotes in American history: "Forget the moon." John F. Kennedy.
JVR was from London, Ontario.
He would sure be a warrior.
I know he'd be playing.
Yeah.
But now that I know he's from Washington, he might step out.
No, New Jersey.
New York State.
Same thing.
You're right.
It's below the 69th parallel.
That's if there's one thing I've learned in the last year and a half, it's that all Americans are the same. Indecipherable from the next. They agree on everything.
Oh yeah,
It's a little obnoxious how they agree on everything.
They are truly a country united at this point.
Jesus. Hey,
it's funny because there's so much geographical difference and cultural difference from spot to spot to spot. You think that there would be a huge divide between them.
Nope.
They all don't care about space.
Unity.
As I just beat that dead horse. Get it? Do you all get it yet? It's funny. Can I go to the bathroom?
Sure. Okay, so one quick thing before we get to the Vegas Golden Knights and then the press conference. I got a message from Frank, who is a Buffalo Sabres fan. We were talking a little bit. Stop looking at me.
No, I was looking at his name.
Oh, okay. Stop looking at me.
My eyes are...
I am revealing information to you.
I have to be where you're sitting to read that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can't see that.
So Frank is a big fan. Frank Archery on Twitter.
That's a great question, Jesse. I think they're in my jacket.
Your glasses?
Yeah, what?
Well, no, don't put your glasses on. It doesn't matter.
No, but when he said it, I was like, where are my glasses? Read the thing.
Hey, Adam.
No, actually.
Thing to do.
So
you know what? We're not allowed to talk about the Sabres. Moving on.
We were talking about the Sabres power play a little bit. And he said, hey, bud, he just sent me a DM. He said, in terms of the Sabres power play, the answer to the question of why they're so bad is Davis Payne, who was an assistant in LA from 2012 to 2017. He has the same job here in Buffalo that he did in LA, working with the forwards and running the power play. LA's power play ranked 10th in 2013 at 19.9%, 27th at 15.1% in 13-14, 11th with 19% in 14-15, 8th with 20% in 15-16, and 15th, 19.1% in 16-17. Last season, Bob Woods ran power play for Buffalo, which was the best in the league. And I didn't know that. And I didn't verify that.
It was?
Apparently, it was a good power play.
Wow.
Woods is now with Minnesota.
The power play is really hurting
because of a dude.
When Payne was running it. It was really...
Oh.
It was really
As
hurting.
I accidentally kicked my chair down.
Anyway.
I don't get it. Yes, Adam?
Sometimes I can't with the two of you.
Reel us in, Adam.
I can't.
Sell us on this topic, Adam.
This is... Okay, what's the name of this show again?
The Entertain Steve Dangle podcast.
It's labeled me.
Sell me all
No, me.
Golden Hawks have given Shipachov's agent a
Golden
chance.
Hawks.
Golden Knights.
The West Hill Golden Hawks.
Sorry, Golden Hawks, who I played for. Golden Knights have given Shipachov's agent a chance to seek trade offers from around the NHL. That is the headline for Sportsnet.ca. And I think it's very interesting because here's the deal. George McPhee is mismanaging this team a little bit.
Well, apparently. So, by the way, we should mention that this validates Ivis Kalnic, who is our Latvian friend who reports on things sometimes on the twitter.com. He was on to this Shipachyov might not be that happy stuff a few weeks ago, and it was shot down by some mainstream guys. And here we have his agent looking for a trade deal.
Well, the first time he wasn't playing with the Golden Knights is when Ivis tweeted that out and said, hey, no, they're looking for trades.
And then he got called up, and I think he even scored.
Yes, he did, and I actually watched that game. He looked really good.
Although I don't remember who was tweeting about it. It might have been Eric Engels. So supposedly he inquired, and the Habs were like, no. So they're not interested in Shipachyov. But supposedly Engels spoke to a scout, and the scout was like, no, he should have come to the NHL 4 years ago. He's a depth player at best. So someone is going to have to explain to me the arms race to get him. and why it costs Vegas. How much are they paying him?
$4.5 million a year.
Oh,
Now, here's the interesting part about this. Either way, this is Vegas's fault because
absolutely.
he's either not the player they thought he was, which is on the scouting staff, which is on George McPhee, or they don't have room because they mismanaged roster spots, which is why they had to give up Calvin Pickard because they have 18 million defensemen and refused to trade any of them.
Well, they didn't want to carry 3 goalies, and they chose.
But they're out of roster.
They chose Subban.
Shipachyov is
Pickard,
down
though.
because they're out of roster spots.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm not defending them on that.
Like, he is-
Pickard, I understand. I disagree, but I understand.
Shipachyov is good enough to be on this team, even in a depth role. Sending him down to Chicago at 30 years old is going to make him a better player.
Is he? Because they're almost undefeated.
Right.
Do you have?
Well, that's nice, but come on, how long is that going to last?
4 centers that are better than Shipachyov.
You don't.
You know what would have helped Vegas? If you just picked more waiver exempt guys, which we tried to do when we were drafting our team. It's amazing. If you go through their lineup, Jesse's got it open on Cap Friendly. I'm looking at their forwards. The only guy they can send down is Alex Tuck. Defense, they have no one, which is why they have 10. And goaltenders, well, Dansk, but he doesn't count because they had to call him up because someone got hurt. That's ridiculous. Yeah, Shipachyov is buried. Reed Duke is the only guy who is on season opening injured reserve.
The first ever
Golden Knight.
Poor guy. I don't understand. And you know what makes this... You know what? It's funny. Vegas, I think, is about to get rewarded for mismanaging their team.
Well, because they have a pile of assets, man.
They have a pile of assets, but what if they're able to trade Shipachyov for a pick or two? They get even more picks for a guy who they clearly don't need because they're fine.
My point is,
if they win, great. If they lose, great.
If
they don't care.
If they'd managed the cap, if they'd managed it properly, they wouldn't have had to give up Calvin Pickard. They wouldn't have had to ask Toronto to lend them Casimir Kaskisuo in Chicago. They wouldn't be starting Oscar Dansk. It would be Dansk and Pickard rather than, you could have had.
Well, both their goalies got hurt. I don't blame them for the goalie situation. The goalie situation was doing just fine.
But they would have been fine to carry 3 had they managed it properly.
Yeah, but it's never ideal to have 3 goalies. We criticized the Islanders for doing that a couple years ago with Berube, and he never really recovered. So I'm not going to criticize him for that. But it is weird that there was an arms race to get Shipachyov. They paid him a boatload of money, and now he's already looking for a trade. And now this is the big criticism for me. I'm saying, what if Vegas is able to get a couple picks for Shipachyov? I don't think it's going to go down like that. I think they might have to give up an asset
and probably retain.
And perhaps retain. That is bad because it's how many years?
2 years.
Or
it's this year next.
You have cap friendly.
It's this year next. It's 2 year, $9 million contract.
Is it? I thought it was longer than that. Let me see. Shipachyov 2 years. Yep, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
All right.
Wowzers.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
I'm actually surprised Montreal wouldn't be on this because this is the one position where Montreal can win. We'll take Shipachyov and
retain at half. You don't really need that money anyway.
And
the cap room, certainly.
And Montreal gets a centerman.
Yeah, and we'll give you...
And even if he is a depth centerman, Montreal still needs that. And you can still play him. He's a fast enough, skilled enough player. You can put him on the power play. Takes a little of the strain off Jonathan Drouin, who apparently has done... The numbers are showing that he's doing quite well.
Yeah. You're Mark Bergevin. Give me an offer. Mm-hmm. Give me an offer.
What is it?
I will...
both of you. I don't care.
You're going to retain $1 million each year.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a donut from Tim Hortons.
Okay. The NHL won't accept a donut.
So I'll give you $1 then.
Can't
I'll give you a 7th round pick.
See, a 7th round pick is not worth $2 million.
I'll give you Derek England.
No, you're Montreal.
I'm Montreal.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm Mark Bergevin, so yeah, I'll take Derek England. No problem.
Thomas Plekanec.
You're high.
No.
You're on drugs.
What does Montreal give up to get anyone?
Nothing. It's nothing. They give up like a 6th. It's the same thing that...
Shipachyov?
Yeah, but if I'm Vegas...
Vegas wants to get rid of Shipachyov.
It's not enough, though.
Yeah.
It's $2 million.
So is it enough to send him down and have him sit there and pay him all that money in Chicago or not play at all in Chicago? So they're paying him right now not to play because he's not reporting to Chicago.
Vegas, I think, should wait for a decent enough deal because it's Shipachyov. Where did he come from?
Russia.
On what team specifically? Jesse, can you look this up? I believe it was SKA St. Petersburg, who is owned by an oil company, has more money than the Leafs. If he waits this out long enough, he can just terminate that contract and go back to Russia. Players have done it before. Petri Conciola did it.
Well, what's Mark Streit doing right now?
He's all the way over there.
They terminated his contract.
That.
SK
St. Petersburg, who needs Shipachyov like a hole in the head.
But they still get him.
They're really good. So far in first place. They might go out and get him.
Do you give up as high as a third round pick if you're Montreal?
For Shipachyov?
Do you say third and you retain all the money?
Half?
Half, maybe?
You can only do 50%.
Oh, yeah,
if I'm Montreal, of course, I do that.
Is that high enough?
I mean, he'd look great down the depth chart after Tavares. I need to make sure he doesn't take up so much of the cap that I can't re-sign.
They also have 2 second-round picks this coming draft pick.
That's too much. I think
You'll
that's...
give up, the Chicago pick?
I mean, if I'm going to be this bad, I better keep those picks.
Yeah. Okay.
It is interesting that seemingly the most ideal trade partner is supposedly out. If they lose to Florida instead of beat them, I wonder if they're in. I wonder how much a game changes it all. I bet there wouldn't have been a press conference.
By the way, going back to our Buffalo conversation, Buffalo did lead the NHL in power play percentage last year. 24.5%. Who was number 2?
Toronto.
It's going to be someone shocking. Colorado.
Jesse was correct.
Nice. No, that sounds right.
Yes.
Caps, Penguins, Oilers rounded out the top 5. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
That's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
That's always a concerning thing when you make your season predictions because it's rare to stay top 5 in any special teams category year in, year out.
Yeah, it's tough.
That is the one thing I'd look at and I'd be like, at least we're the second best power play in the NHL and barely squeaked in. If their power play takes a step back, they're going to miss by a mile. Mm-hmm. But let me know when that happens.
So when you do get a chance tonight, I want you to do something for yourself. I would have played this today, but I don't know how to play and then play back clips yet onto our audio. So we're going to figure that out.
In this studio.
But Vin Scully throwing out the first pitch last night at the Dodgers game and narrating his own first pitch.
No, it's 4 minutes.
It's 4 minutes long.
Go look it up.
Yeah.
And it's him going okay, Vin, don't screw this up.
All right.
It is so great. I want you to watch it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. All the nostalgia feels, and then I think they lost, but whatever.
Yeah, in the 12th, 11th inning.
The Dodgers are going to win the World Series.
Don't tell Jose Altuve.
They're going to win. It's ridiculous.
What's the series at?
1-1.
See, I trust Jesse because he's AAA baseball, Jesse. Jesse played very high-end baseball.
You play AAA baseball?
I did play.
See, how high is AAA? Because my first thought was, wow, that's one step below major junior baseball.
There's AAA, and then you're all Ontario.
Why didn't you all play on Ontario?
I didn't keep playing baseball long enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you chose.
What was your position?
I played I was a pitcher. I had a mean knuckle curve. And then
with your fingers, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Those are the strongest man
That's
fingers.
why he's got such strong.
It's baseball.
Yes.
Did you hit some dingers?
I only hit 3 dingers ever.
Must have felt good. I've always thought that a home run would feel better than scoring a goal in hockey. A home run must be.
It's because of the trot.
Yeah.
The trot is unbelievable.
That must be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also, you don't know it's a home run for a few seconds. You know it's a goal right away, but a home run, you got to go, get out.
Come on.
Get out.
Yeah.
Unless it's just a fucking smash of a home run.
Did you have one of those?
No. I've never just crushed the ball.
I could see you being an inside the park home run guy because you have very long legs and could probably cover a lot of ground pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. I hit first
You hit for, you're a leadoff.
The leadoff guy.
So you stole some bases.
I did steal some bases.
Jesse,
I have long legs.
Jesse Henderson. Ricky Henderson.
Oh, I was like, yeah.
Former Blue Jay, Ricky
I was
Henderson.
going to say Ben Revere.
If we want to keep talking about baseball, it'll lead perfectly into the first press conference question.
Well, let's do the press conference then. Steve.
Yes, let's.
How dare you?
No sound effect, huh? Wow.
No, all right. Did you listen back last episode?
I did. It was very well done.
Yeah.
I wish it was over all this. I wish it was over all of this right now.
This week was the 25th anniversary of Joe Carter's walk-off home run in Toronto.
25th?
20. I'm 93, so 24th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was... All right,
It was
whatever.
93.
92.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was the anniversary.
Yes.
Of Joe Carter.
So,
Say it, Adam.
I got to pull up it.
What did he do with that home run?
He brought the World Series back to Toronto.
Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
So I'll give you guys a moment to think. But
Oh, man.
it is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Edmonton
Vegas
Oilers.
Golden Knights.
Vegas Golden Knights. Austin Matthews scores in overtime to win the Stanley Cup. You are the play-by-play announcer. I'm going to play a goal horn, and you must come up with your line for the Game 7 clinching overtime goal. I'll give you a second while I pull up a goal horn. But have your line.
The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Leafs goal horn. This is in the ACC. It's a home game.
Oh, obviously.
Obviously, we won the conference.
Yeah. It's not like the Leafs winning at Edmonton where there's enough Leaf fans there that it's basically a home
Vegas.
game. Right. Yeah.
Let's see if I get this.
Oh, Adam's method acting.
Oh, there it
Very, very well done. Very well done.
is. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna play this.
Taking the magic out of the moment.
Who's going first?
Oh, I think Steve said I don't.
All right, Adam, are you ready?
I hate this so much.
This is gonna be so embarrassing.
Oh!
You're probably gonna shit the bed. I'm
Yep.
not rooting for you,
Cool.
but it's gonna happen.
Cool.
Austin Matthews.
Hold on. I gotta think. I lost it. I had it.
Okay.
You're stretched for time. Say something. Talk.
Let's describe the play beforehand. What's happening?
Yeah, how does it happen?
Yeah,
You do that. Let me think about it.
Get to the moment.
All
where
right.
Austin Matthews spots the game winner.
Neutral zone. Other team has the puck.
Vegas.
Vegas.
Vegas for sure.
At some point, Adam says, Alex Tuck with the puck. Because he's coming in.
And it rhymes.
Right?
His name is Chuck, and he likes to puck.
Yeah.
Kill Bill reference? No. His name is Buck. And no.
He's
okay.
gonna. I'm not cheering for you either.
Right,
So,
sorry.
Zach Hyman breaks up the.
Zach.
Oh yeah, you bet. Zach Hyman breaks up the play at the Leafs blue line.
Oh.
Nylander swoops in. He's breaking down the wing. Austin Matthews with him. Lucas Spiza is the one man back for Vegas.
Yes.
Willie sauce over to Austin Matthews like an Italian chef.
And it goes right over the defenseman's stick.
Matthews out of he did what he does. He did what he did against Carey Price. Bats the pass out of midair, brings it down to the ice, and then puts it in the back of the net past Marc-Andre Fleury and scores! Austin Matthews! Can you believe it? I can, because Alex Tuck had the putt, and he got broken up in the blue line there. Hyman over to William Nylander. William Nylander brings it in just like his father, Michael, who played for the St. Louis Blizzards and a bunch of other teams, and he sends it over to Austin Matthews, All-American pro, and he puts it in the back of the net past Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury made a huge save in the Stanley Cup Final 2009 to bring the Stanley Cup to Pittsburgh. He couldn't do it here against Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews, hero, Toronto. Julie can ice the puck.
Well done. Well done, boys.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm glad you did that because mine was just going to be.
It wasn't supposed to be a reaction. It was supposed to be, a call.
Oh no! If I was the play-by-play man,
Yeah, that would be Steve.
All right, fair enough.
It happened. That I think should be it. It should either be something like "finally" and then just let the crowd noise take it.
Yeah.
What if you just steal it and you're like, do you believe in miracles?
I can. I think someone made a YouTube video where they went, "Do you believe in miracles?" I can.
There should be a YouTube clip of all the best hockey calls, and I can. Like, bless you, boys, I can. Everything is happening. I can.
Something along the lines of, "It happened. It finally happened. You've done it, Lenny. You've done it." I don't. It's got to be a very simple call.
Yeah.
I don't envy whoever has to make that call.
No, I don't either, because that's the one that lives it in for me. That's the, and that's, I think, when you're a pro, when you're really good, it just comes out of you.
The ideal thing, and Bob Cole gets this a lot and does a really good job with them, and I've heard Jim Houston do a really good job with a few of these too. The ideal thing is the Leafs are just like killing them.
Yeah.
That way, in the final minute, when the crowd just starts their standing ovation, he can go, after so many years, in 93, they came close. 94, close again. 2002, but no luck. 3 years ago, they found themselves in last place. And then blah, blah, blah. And then he finally gets to, and now the Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup champions. Take it away, Toronto. And then the final 10 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
The audience going,
Even like the
10, 9.
Yeah.
The last 2 minutes.
Yeah, just
will
let
it'll be.
We're going to turn it over to the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally
Yeah.
don't talk. Now, here's the problem with that plan. Is any lead safe? Okay, that's
Hopefully it's like 7-1.
That's why I said, and the Leafs are killing them, because I was about to say the Leafs are up 2.
Leafs are up. Are up 7 with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's such a Leafs fan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're up 2 with
2.
a minute to go.
That's 30 goals each. I don't know.
I think the best thing, and
30
I
seconds each.
hate to say it this way, but I think the best thing for the Leafs is that 2 of their 3 best players did not grow up Leaf fans. And I'm gonna because Connor Brown and Mitch Marner, and I count Mitch Marner, but Connor Brown and Mitch Marner grew up Leaf fans, right?
Yeah.
The best part about Matthews and Nylander is they didn't. And I'll tell you why. They don't have the, oh my God, don't fuck this up for me. And oh my God, I don't want to be the one that fucks this up for childhood me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Who clinched the Leafs a playoff spot last year?
Connor Brown.
Connor Brown.
Breezy.
Downtown.
Breeze to well, the correct answer is Curtis McElhinney, but who I think also grew up a Leaf fan.
But I just want to say, I think it's important that they don't have that in the back of their head. 20 years of please don't fuck this up like everybody else.
There's a
did.
mix.
Yeah, it's good.
They're also so young.
Yeah, you're almost young enough not to know.
They don't really know the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
They've turned it off.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Babcock's done a great job of turning that off, right?
Yeah.
You know what you can't have with Austin Matthews is a conversation about the 2002 run. You can't have hey, remember that?
Nope.
You know what he says? No. No, I do not.
He was, 5?
He didn't. Did he even like hockey at that point in his life? I don't think he did. It's crazy. Like, you want to talk about wiping the slate clean. And then there's William Nylander, who doesn't give a good goddamn anyway. And his dad was in the NHL. Doesn't faze him. Oh, God, you guys are going to get me excited. Get me excited.
Steve?
Yes.
Paula Brady on the Reddit says, you wrote an article for Kijiji.
Yes, I did.
Talk about that. Isn't that cool?
It is cool. Yeah, no, they
what's wrong with
approached me.
That's really cool.
Nothing.
That's
No.
why
That's how. This is how Steve pisses away his retirement. Is the way that it should have been. How you find memorabilia, aka how I spend my kids' college tuition.
Specific question is, what's your greatest find for your collection?
Ooh. It's difficult to see in the background on my shelf, but I have a little rubber Doink the Clown of wrestling fame. God, what else do I have? I know I got the Gilmore figure on Kijiji for sure. I have a one-of-a-kind thing. I don't know if I've ever talked about it.
This would be the time.
I will do it.
I have a thing. I'm not going to talk about it.
But you know, it's not important right now.
For the longest time, I was like, I don't want to talk about it in case it was stupid. I'll talk about it now.
In case someone robbed you?
Yeah, no, that's not why at all.
Okay.
So my buddy used to do audiovisual for this company, and one of their clients was Joe Bowen. And Joe Bowen has a man cave or whatever that destroys mine because he's Joe Bowen. I'm sure he's relatively wealthy and also worked for the Leafs for 30 years? So he's got ridiculous memorabilia. So he's out of room. So he's got all this stuff like in closets and in storage where he's like, here, just take it. So my buddy goes to his house and he's like, here, would you like this? And he goes, well, I know my friend would. So he just goes, here, take it. It is a movie poster, like a fake.
Oh, yes.
It's a fake movie poster. So obviously this wasn't off Kijiji, but anyway, it's a fake movie poster of Wendell Clark in a cowboy hat, and like, you know, the lion, the for that movie company, I can't remember which one it is.
Metro Golden MGM.
Yeah, that's Ty Domi's head. There's a bunch of reviews at the side, and here's how old this poster is. There's a fake review from Bob McKenzie, and it cites him as the Toronto Star.
Oh, wow.
Which I didn't even know he did. I didn't even know he did that. And, and there was one, it's like, why am I not in this movie? Janet Gretzky or something like that. So it's just a spoof movie poster of Wendell Clark, and it's signed by Wendell Clark, addressed to Joe Bowen.
Oh, wow.
And I have it. I have it.
Why doesn't Joe have it?
Well, that's the reason I didn't want to say anything, and this is the stupidest thing in my head, is, well, what if Wendell Clark found out and got upset? I know, I'm an asshole. You don't even need to say it.
I don't think you're an asshole. I just think that's overthinking it a touch.
A little bit.
I don't think Wendell cares.
I don't think Wendell cares. I don't think Wendell has ever seen anything of mine. Do we think Nazem Kadri did Nazem Kadri Bob Ross on purpose? I want to believe.
You didn't come up with that, though.
Yeah, I did. Nazem Kadri Bob Ross?
What was our signal to the Pittsburgh Penguins Twitter? It's like blink twice if you're listening, or what was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they tweeted us back.
And they actually tweeted and they were like blink. All right, Nazem Kadri.
Did you invent this art?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Tweet a paintbrush if you listen to the show and heard that, and that's the Nazem Kadri Bob Ross. Just tweet a paintbrush.
No.
Do it.
It's not going to happen.
Not.
The great thing about that is even if he's listening, he doesn't need to do that.
No.
But I think it would be kind of cool.
And I think need to wink at us.
The Penguins didn't either, but they did.
I think it's the greatest coincidence ever. It's a popular costume.
I don't even remember that bit.
The Nazem Kadri Bob Ross?
Can't even remember the conversation, how it came up, what we said, anything.
That's because it was in the LFR.
Oh, there you go.
It's not
that you clearly don't watch, so that's fine.
I watch your. Oh my god, there's so much bloody content.
Oh my god,
I can't remember. I can't keep up with all of our stuff.
And why don't you consume it all? It's like
people will come up and actually quote back conversations that I cannot remember having on this show.
When SL gets up for work in the morning and tells me that you're on breakfast television, I go, what? And I get out of bed and storm down the stairs in my underwear so I can watch you for 2 hours. That's not true. Of
course that's not true.
I sleep.
I think it's more likely that he watches the LFRs.
I don't think so. There's a couple Leafs who I know have watched and whose family members watch, and I don't think Naz is one of them. Although I've interviewed him a bunch of times, but not for many years.
Does Bozak know about Bose Lightyear?
I'm going to go with he doesn't on account of he blocked me on Twitter. Yeah, a bunch of people are like, now we got to get Bozak. And I'm like, you see, there's a bit of a history there where I lambasted him for several years.
Phil Kessel Phil Kessel has you blocked too, right?
He also does. Yeah, and then I met him. And like, he didn't know. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
No.
This is a Twitter account.
He didn't care.
Do you have any more questions, or are we good?
No. Lots of gloves. We're good.
From Steve Dangle. Did Nazem know? I don't think he did.
Tweet that paintbrush, Nazem. I have faith. Are you
going to mention in your next LFR?
Oh my God, yeah. A bit that I've been doing for over a year.
Yeah.
And like, it's either amazing because he understands the meme, which is, I don't know, it's a little bit of a meme, or it's the best coincidence ever. Either way, it's the best.
I want to believe he knows.
I do too.
I think he does. Who wouldn't pass that along?
I saw a few people tweeting that TSN stole the bit, which I don't.
Yeah, they
I don't think they did.
But they little bit. Bar down got stolen.
Well, Penjelly.
Oh, no, that's because it went into the public forum, right? So then Steve might have created it, but other people jumped on it, which means... And then I remember that article, you were cut from it. They talked about...
That's shady.
There was something you created, and the Bar Down talked about it, and then... But they talked about all the reaction tweets, but nothing from you.
You know what? It's not shady. It's not shady, because it's... if it's shady, it's implying he did it because of me, which we don't know.
And I think there's no way Bar Down could include you because you work for Sportsnet. And there's
Penjelly Inc. is the artist who made that comic.
Don't write the article if you can't cite the original.
Penjelly Inc. is the guy who made the comic, the drawing of Kadri Bob Ross, and he made this like months ago or years ago prior to Kadri getting into costume. Bar Down pays him to do comics for them.
Oh, okay.
It was the perfect opportunity to post it, so they did.
Okay. That makes sense. Listen, I don't think there's anything untoward. I don't think there's anything untoward going on.
Believe me, there's nothing in the world I want more than to believe he did this on purpose. But
no, there's no way.
It's
Bar Down's not like, you know who we'll steal from. Yeah. Of all the people at Sportsnet, those guys.
Yeah. Guys, I got this amazing 31 thoughts. All right. You can wait. Wait your turn.
Forget your Elliot Friedman. All right. We need your Steve Dangle.
If that is his real name. 2 T's, Elliot? Does the I come before or after the E? I have no time for this. Get me Steve Dangle. That's the good shit, kids.
Anyway. All right, well, that's it for today. Leafs are playing tonight against Carolina. It'll be good to get a good look at Carolina because that's a young team on the upswing, and it'll be interesting to see.
Extremely exciting to watch, even though they haven't done that well so far.
Yeah, they are currently 3-3, 3-3-1, that is, which isn't bad, isn't good. It's just, it is.
Bettman 500.
Your Bettman 500. I like that.
I want to know who the starting goalie is. Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
I'm excited to see
it's not going to go up until the beginning of the game.
Future Leafs defenseman Justin Falk.
And TVR.
And Noah Hannafin.
All of them.
We're just going to get them all.
The Leafs are going to buy the Carolina Hurricanes.
We're going to get a lot of this tonight.
Oh my God! They won! Finally! They won!
Only I may dance.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.